Taking it back. Episode 1, the original.
Going back to Tactics Watch. But I have a much better taste for black coffee now.
Do you? I think that's what I want to find out. Am I developing a more refined palate?
I'm going to see what you say before I say what I say. Is it any better?
It still tastes like wood chips.
I'm going to tell you this.
You think it's worse?
So I think because we drank good coffee a couple times, I do think, and I will give the benefit of the doubt to Black Rifle, they are more about the caffeine content than anything else. I'm not saying this is gross. I'm saying the other ones we tried were just good. All right. Well, welcome back to Coffee with Coach, guys. We got a special episode today. I think it's the coolest one we've done. You want to tell
I think so.
What it is?
We've been exploring some of the girl workouts.
Benchmarks.
The
workouts.
girls. And I'm sure we each have a story about one.
I have several. I have too many stories. But it's funny because I think it's if you've done CrossFit even for a decent amount of time, you hear that phrase and there's like a little shiver that goes down your spine because you just know what's coming your way. But there's a reason for that.
Do you know how they got their name?
Do you want to tell them? Although, let me tell you the story that I know and then what I read when I was doing my research. Two different things. So you tell them your version and then I'll see if mine...
The Greg Glassman names them after females the same way we name hurricanes after females.
Okay. So that is the one that I found.
They are supposed to be simple, yet leave you completely devastated.
So that is what I found. I've heard less savory versions of that, and we're going to just leave that alone. And that's, I think I watched a YouTube video once, and somebody wanted to make it real sensational. But I actually was relieved when I was doing my research. Yeah. And I found that it was a hurricane storm names.
Right.
And Hurricane Fran is probably the worst one.
Fran definitely hits. Fran's one of those where you can completely misguess how the workout should go, and it doesn't hurt as bad.
Sure.
If you're not strong enough to really cycle 95-pound thrusts,
that'll slow you way down.
It slows you down so much that you don't get the nickel tasting, just lungs bleeding feeling.
But that's kind of the point. But for those watching who aren't as familiar with the girls, when I was looking back, apparently there were two big major CrossFit Journal articles. There was the first one and then a follow-up one. And the first one introduced 7, A, B, C, D, E, F, 6. And they were in alphabetical order, which I never knew that before. So you've got Angie, Barbara. It's not Cindy, it's Chelsea. And then A, B, C, D was Diane, E was Elizabeth, F was Fran. And then...
How high can you go? G is
Grace. H is
Helen.
I is Isabel. J is Jackie. There's one.
K is Karen.
There's a Karen, and there's also a Kelly. There's Lane. Lane was a new addition, though. Lane was back in 21 or 22. Mary, LM. Nancy.
O.
I don't know if there's an O.
I can't even think of a woman's name that starts with O.
Well, Ophelia. But
that's a popular Taylor Swift song.
But that's also, no one would name a hurricane Ophelia. Too many syllables doesn't accurately do it. But you think the cool part about the benchmark workouts is CrossFit, it's, test and retest, they're repeatable. And so you do Fran.
Yeah.
You do it again. You know what you got to do.
Yeah.
And you can understand the stimulus behind it.
Does that get better or worse? I think it gets worse.
In terms of feeling?
Yeah, you get more anxiety.
Oh my God.
You get more nervous.
So myself, Jake, and our other coach, Jake, we refuse to do it. Like, unless I have a reason to do Fran.
Like it's programmed in a class workout?
Yeah. But even if it's just Tuesday, I'm going to have a hard time. Because the things that I have done to myself with Fran, the unholy feelings and thoughts I've had because of Fran, it's just awful. But I think the whole point of that is like supposed to elicit a specific stimulus. Right. And the reason Fran's so bad, and they talk about this at the level 1, is there's no interference. You go from squatting and pressing to pulling, right? So one does not fatigue the other, and it's just pain caves.
Just go.
Yeah, just go. And I think what's cool about, I was looking at it, because initially I was like, oh, maybe it's just all non-interference. But then I realized, no, there's a lot of interference in the girl workouts. And I think they're just great tests of fitness that check a lot of boxes. Yeah. Your favorite girl workout?
Man, favorite? Probably Grace, because it's a barbell and it. I have some very vivid memories of some workouts. Yeah. Angie.
Okay, about Angie.
Well, it's 100, right? And I forget the order. I should have done this.
Pull-ups,
push-ups, sit-ups, and squats.
Yeah, I think that's the right order.
Trained at a gym while I was traveling in Minnesota, and they had that workout program. And I was excited, but I was new to the class, and I met a guy who had competed locally at like the Granite Games.
Okay.
I said, how are you thinking about breaking this workout up? And he said, well, with the vest on, it kind of changes things for me. So I was like, okay, this guy's going to do 100 pull-ups with the vest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, whatever, dude. And then as we get into the workout, I noticed that he's doing chest to bar. And then I noticed he was doing GHD sit-ups. And then he started doing pistols.
What?
And he still beat me.
Why?
So how do you take a gross, just simple workout,
Yeah.
just body weight, simple workout, and make it filthy? Well, he managed to do that. So that's probably, I like that one because I can do it when I travel.
Mm-hmm. Need almost nothing.
Wake up out of the, from bed, and I can go into the garage and I got a pull-up bar and I can knock it out. So I like the fact that some of them are just really simple. Like,
I think that's pretty cool that there's like significant variety, because I was looking at this breakdown and there's several that are pure body weight. You might need a pull-up bar, or you may need a set of rings.
Yeah.
There are several that are no barbell, but like you're getting going, you're doing a little bit of weightlifting, maybe with a dumbbell or a kettlebell. And then there are several that are barbell heavy.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like pick your poison. What do you want to get out of it? And I think there is a legitimate way to, if you wanted to do a lot of benchmark workouts just as you're training, you could cycle through them pretty consistently and have still very good training.
Yeah.
There are some, you're good at Fran, if you're good at Grace, if you're good at Isabel, sub 5-minute workouts, right? If you're feeling pretty good that day. And there are some out there, I think Nancy, Kelly, trying to think of other ones that are Cindy, 20 plus minutes of work.
Yeah.
And you're hitting all of these different stimuli across broad time and modal domains.
Yeah.
And it really gives you the opportunity to feel what CrossFit is without having to be too creative and come up with your own workouts.
You kind of strip all of the bells and whistles and you kind of get down into just some nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Like, all right, it's one movement for 30 reps. How fast can you get it done?
Yeah.
It's just your body weight and it's on a clock. And you're able to do those kind of twice a year, 3 times a year, gives you kind of a little check, like you still got it, or I'm improving, or things are moving where I need them to move. And maybe you could highlight some areas that you could get better at, or they're just simple and they're filthy. And they are, for me, very just kind of anxiety.
Get some butterflies going.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, the idea of a benchmark, right? A benchmark is meant to be retested. It's kind of like, hey, your placekeeper of where am I at? Yeah. And I told people a lot of times, I've been doing CrossFit for a very long time. And I think if you just want to test general fitness, my 2 favorite would be Jackie and Helen.
Okay.
There's a little bit of monostructural in both of them, a little bit of weightlifting, a little bit of gymnastics.
Yeah.
Definitely, they're built slightly differently because Jackie's a chipper and Helen's is rounds for time. But both of them asks the question, do you have fitness and can you execute it well? Then when you extrapolate that beyond those two, is like, hey, you want to test your barbell cycling? Well, here's 3 or 4 workouts. Hey, you want to test your mixed modal? Here's 3 or 4 workouts. Yeah. It's cool that we have all of those things to rely on that then we can build out from there. Do more fitness to figure out how to get better.
Yeah. And the whole like testing fitness could go down a rabbit hole. And we've talked a little bit about just like no group of tests can ever be entirely complete. I mean, you'd have to have, for as many workouts as you put on a test of fitness, there's always one more that you could argue should be included, or it's balanced this way or that way. But yeah, I think those 2 tests kind of give you a fairly good idea of where you're at.
Yeah, and I think too, with all of the girls' workouts as like a sum total, the only thing that you'd really could argue that would be missing from that bunch is a super heavy barbell or like a 1 rep max test. But even Diane has a 225 deadlift. And so really when we're looking at like, what do the girls' workouts check off on like the 10 physical skills of fitness? It's like 99% of it is there. And then that one true like maximal strength be the only thing that's missing.
What I love about them, even though like if you look 10, 15 years ago with where like the best athletes' fitness were, it's not comparable to today.
Oh, it's completely different.
Like the numbers that these guys are throwing and ladies are throwing up is just insane, and how strong they're getting and how fast they can go is pretty wild.
Yeah.
You can take that one workout, you can measure it across all decades, and it gives you just an idea of like, I can see that everybody's fitness is improving because of this real simple test that's going on.
For sure. And I think like with like the games athletes, like that level of fitness has maybe progressed beyond where you could get a good idea, because like it's now like tenths of seconds that would separate people on a Fran or an Isabel or a Grace. But I do still think for like GPP in a CrossFit gym, most of our athletes are happy to finish Fran sub 7.
Yeah.
And that gives them something to work towards, right? We've got people in here who are sub 230, but the majority of our people are probably above 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And so still in like that general population, the girls workouts still have a very strong place. I think the reason CrossFit as a whole might not be doing them as much anymore is because we do a little too much mirroring what games athletes do.
Man, I look at them like a 100-meter dash.
Mm-hmm.
We've been doing the 100-meter dash since the Olympics were around.
Yeah, right? Like in Greece, yeah.
But, 300 years ago or however long ago, you were doing the 100-meter in 14 seconds, and now guys are doing it 8-9 seconds, which is crazy. Yeah. But you can see that there is the test has remained the same. It's simple in its format and form, and you can see how people are just continuing to push the needle.
Yeah.
Show and highlight how the human body can express fitness. Yeah. And I think that that's awesome. I think it's cool to see like, and 10, 15 years ago, a 4-minute, Fran time was
good,
acceptable.
Cooking.
Now you do 4 minutes at a CrossFit competition at a local kind of box, and you're dead last in that heat, probably.
My all-time
crazy.
My all-time PR on Fran was during a competition. People were in my face just screaming. Afterwards, I went out in the parking lot and like just basically tried not to throw up for 40 minutes. But it was like my time was pretty good, and I had 4 people within 8 seconds of me. And it was just like, I don't like, if I had have tripped up at all, I'd have been like 7th.
Yeah.
With a 3 to 5 second differential. It was crazy. But I do think it's also cool because you're talking about history here, right? And there's the very famous Jason Khalipa doing Amanda throwing the barbell at the camera at the games.
Did he do Amanda?
It was Amanda at the games.
It was pretty sketchy.
And it's where he goes in the bar. But the thing is, now the history of CrossFit is so cool because we've got just athletes who make quarterfinals that can do Amanda unbroken. Yeah. And it's just to see how far we've come since like early 2010s to now, like, your average best athlete in a CrossFit gym can probably do Amanda, at least RX, maybe not unbroken. It's 975 of ring muscle ups and 135 squat snatch. I believe that's I think it ends on snatches. Either way, it's 2 movements. And it's a pretty good workout for a solid athlete. But back then, the games athletes were failing. Yeah. And it's cool to see like our methods, our protocols, they're all moving forward. And again, maybe the benchmarks can be looked at just as, hey, me as an individual, but also us as an entire like culture of CrossFit getting better.
Right. And it's wild to think 9 reps of a ring muscle up for an athlete that can do them unbroken, followed by the barbell cycling on the squat snatch. And then you get into that second round and all of a sudden it's like, my arms don't work anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Why can't I kip into this movement? Like, what is happening right now?
Yeah.
And then you see the carnage that starts to happen.
That's the magic of the 975 or the 21:15:9 of CrossFit. Your first set, you're like, all right, I'm okay. And you hit the beginning of that second set, and you're like, I'm not okay. Yeah. And I have another set afterwards. And I think it's really cool. I mean, everyone who's really wanted to get like a great Fran time, it's the 15. It's not putting down that bar on 15 thrusters. Yeah. And ultimately, in the long run, once you get there, you're like, oh, I feel great. You feel great about your score, not great about the workout. Right. But it is cool. I mean, we got a lot of 21:15:9 workouts. There's Fran, there's Diane, there's Elizabeth, similar format with Amanda being 975. And you look at them and you go, that's 45 reps of each. That can't be that bad.
Not too bad.
And then it's destroys you. Like the stimulus it elicits really asks, can you go there?
Can you go there? Do you want to go there?
Yeah. I think that's the first one is first, do you even want to?
Right.
And then if you want to, can you?
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of athletes, that's a great question to ask because it also will tell you a lot about how they're training and their fitness of, obviously I'm not asking any individual to come in here and put themselves through like excruciating, lactic acid feeling. But if you can do that, it's an expression of how hard you're working.
Right. And I think that is where you see metabolic changes that you don't when you live in your kind of comfort zone. Yeah. Like every once in a while, you have to go to a place that is just not fun to
Oh
be.
yeah, I mean it's we can talk all day about stimulus and adaptation, and a lot of our workouts when we're in that groove of that like 9 to 15 minute window, you got to have some pacing, you got to have
Yeah.
some intelligence to your workout. But sometimes because we think too much about our pacing, we may not go intense enough.
Right.
So every once in a while, you got to sprinkle in a pure sprint to find that adaptation. If you never do that, you're not going to know, hey, I can have an extra gear that I can
Yeah.
go to. So, you could be pretty good at those 9 to 12 minute workouts, but can you sprint for 3 minutes? Or even go for, let's say, like you have a great Helen time and it's a 9 minute, maybe 10 minute workout, but you are cooking the whole time. When most 9, 10 minute workouts, there's some modulation to what you're doing.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a whole cool part of it because we label them more like tests.
Yeah.
That it gives a little bit more gravity to the situation.
So what do you do when, let's say Karen, 150 wall balls?
Yeah.
Time.
Yep.
And you've got athletes that are going to look at that and go, yeah, I'm going to really attack big sets and 20 pounds. And then you have some newer athletes who throwing a 20 and 14 pound ball to the target height might be challenging for sets of 10 plus.
Oh yeah.
I come from a school of some days it's okay to say, look, we're going to put 10-minute cap on this workout and you're going to do Karen as it's written because I know you can do one.
Yep.
20-pound wall ball throw to the 10-foot target, or you can do one 14-pound wall ball throw to the 9-foot target, and we're just going to see how far we can get.
Yeah.
If that's 22, that's the number we got to, and then in 6 months we're going to retest, and if we get to 23, then we've gotten fitter, right?
Yeah.
I'm under that impression, but some people, when you're looking at like how you would coach a class, might say, well, let's, scale the weight, let's reduce the target height because I want you to finish the 150 wall balls in 10 minutes. How do you sit on that line?
I'm going to be roundabout, but I'm going to get there, I promise. So I talk a lot about there's a difference between training and competing. Let's add a third component in the middle, testing, right? You got training, which is your everyday, scaling, adjusting, modifying, right? Yesterday, for example, we had handstand push-ups. And I told everybody, if you got one, then you're going to do singles for sets of 20. I don't care if you get better at rowing. I don't care if you get better at cleans. If you can do a handstand push-up, this is what you're going to get better at today. Screw everything else, right? And the modification was, don't worry about the stimulus, right? If you get 4 rounds, you get 1 round. I don't care. That was training, right? We're looking at a specific thing. Now we go into testing, and you're talking about a Karen, right? I agree, because if you don't test at the level of the test, okay, cool. I did it in, or let's say you get time capped with a 10-pound wall ball, and then you get time capped with a 14-pound wall ball. How do you compare? Now, yes, if you want to really go into the nitty gritty, I didn't finish with a 10. I did finish with 14. That's great. But I think, like you're saying, if you can do it one or a couple, cool, I got 75. Next time I test it, I'm going to get 95 of them. Or 105 of them. And I think, I say this a lot to our athletes who are on the cusp of getting new skills or new weights and workouts. Yeah. You're not going to get better by not doing it.
Yeah.
If you are capable of doing a few, benchmark on a named workout, do what you got to do.
Yeah. I like how you said that. There's competing, which I have all the prerequisites. I can do the skills, the weights. Now I'm just seeing how really fast I can go.
Absolutely.
And then, is where, hey, listen, we're working on building in strength. So let's maybe choose a heavier ball or, we're working on larger sets and the ability to hold larger sets. Let's go with a lighter ball. I think that's where the coaching really comes into it. And then, some days you just got to find out where you're at. Short of, are we going to get an athlete hurt? That always trumps everything.
Yeah. Never put them in risk.
Never cross that line. And then you have to understand, as a coach, you put on the hat of like, I'm going to make sure I keep aware of that athlete during this workout because I don't want them to get to a point where they can get hurt. I think sometimes you have to, I feel the same way with like the hero workouts too. Like days you just got to just get buried and figure it out. And hopefully that motivates you to push a little harder in the workouts and classes and training. And
I'll use myself as the example for like, I've done Murph more than 15 times. How many? I tracked it, but more than 15 times. And I'm at a point, no matter where my fitness is that year, some years better, some years worse, I do it with a vest unpartitioned. And sometimes I suffer. Sometimes it is bad because I just haven't been training or like happening in life.
Yeah.
It's at a certain point, you just do the test. You just see where you're at. Now, other people, if they're like, hey, coach, should I put on a vest? I would look at them and be like, if you touch a vest, I'm kicking you out of the gym.
Yeah.
Like,
not there.
but I think, yeah, saying is you're making a decision as a coach. It's an informed decision. I think, I get the most touches on the athletes in here, and like look at all of our athletes and go, that's a bad idea, right? And I think a lot of our athletes could throw 14 or 20 to the correct target and do it for Karen, right? So I tell you, yes. We got one or two that I'm like, no, this is going to, one, you're not going to get very far, and it's going to be the most defeating thing ever. And you might get yourself hit in the face a bunch of times with the wall.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right. Like when you're workouts with benchmark workouts, if you can reasonably say I can do this, go do it.
Just do it. Yeah. I tell you, man, Annie was at 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 of sit-ups and double unders. That's a workout that always punches me in the face.
It seems like nothing.
Because I can do double unders. I can hold set. But it's just the speed at which you have to do it.
Yeah.
Just my core gets blown up so hard.
My favorite thing to tell people on that too is like, how many times have you failed a sit-up?
Yeah.
Now, you've got people, I'm definitely people in the world and people that come in here who legitimately might fail sit-up. And I'm not going to give that message in a class those people are in. Yeah. But the majority of our athletes, the majority of days, like it's just burning. And you're just not comfortable. But if you want a good Annie time on that set of 30, you got to dig in and grit your teeth and just keep doing sit-ups. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. But again, it's asking that question, are you willing to go there? Do you want to go there? Can you go there?
Right.
And I think that's what it really boils down to.
That's what makes them so just terrible. Yeah. You just know it going in like, oh, God, this is going to hurt so bad.
But I think what's cool is when you do CrossFit, no matter how scared it might make you, you're up for the challenge. Yeah. Like all training style says, the unknown and unknowable. And even if you know what the workout is, you may not know what the feeling is going to be at the end. And people on Monday when we did Karen were just like, I have no idea. And I was like, cool. Don't do too big of a set early and don't let your sets get too small. Yeah. Everything else, figure it out. I said, don't go just on vibes, but listen to your body. Do what you, and most of our people did sets of 10 to 15. We had one athlete go 50 and then 35. But she was asking and she's like, I wanted to try 50, 40, 30, 20, 10. And I go, if you do that, you got to do 50. And then your follow-up set has to be more than 20. And if not, it's okay. We figure it out at the end. But then we know if we do Karen again, we're not trying that on the
How'd that end up?
Really well. It was the fastest time of the day.
There you go.
And this athlete, could handle it.
Yeah.
Could handle what they were doing. I was like, if somebody else had said that to me, I would have said, you're crazy. Please go sets of 10. Yeah. There are certain people on certain workouts where I know their fitness and I'm like, okay, it would sound crazy coming out of anybody else's mouth, but you can do it.
So as we wrap this up, do you have kind of holy cow, I didn't know that was impossible story with one of the girls? There's two that come to my mind.
Why don't you, because I'm trying to run through my experience. Yeah. Why don't you give me yours first? Maybe that'll spark
Grace
something.
At 225.
Oh, God.
Guys that do Grace at 225, it's incomprehensible to me, the speed at which they go with that barbell. Yeah. There's that. And then you got people now that are doing Fran with a vest, chest to bar, and doing 135-pound thrusters. Yeah,
I will say this. I did, Fran is the baseline, right? And then there was the Fantasyland one, which it was progressive in weight and difficulty, but the reps went down. And I've never finished that workout to this day because I was like on last set on bar muscle ups. And graphic, plug your ears if you don't want to hear this, basically my whole palm. Like the top layer of skin on my whole palm came off. And I was like, well, I guess this workout's over because I'm not going to I didn't want to actually it was so surface level. I was like, it'll be fine, but I not want to.
Who was it? Adams with Atalanta?
Okay, my answer. Atalanta.
That workout was stupid. Does that count as a girl's? Atalanta. She's a Greek goddess. I don't know.
Yeah, but a couple of buddies, we were talking about trying to do it. And the more and more we talked about it, it was just it's the 300 pull-ups, man. I watch those games athletes do 300 pull-ups. Don't understand it. But yeah, it might be any of the heavy versions of some of the girls' workouts are pretty gnarly. Definitely there was the open version of Diane that had a 315 deadlift. And at the time, I was a hothead. I go 315 deadlifts, nothing. You go through regular Diane, 2159 deadlifts and handstand push-ups, and I get to that first rep at 315, and my spine about shot out of my back. And that was the first time they programmed it, and I was really pissed because I was like, I was going to crush this workout. Yeah. By the time it came around, I had gotten a little more mature. I went slower in the first half, and then I did much better. But yeah, it was like that. Progressing from 225 to 315 definitely me to my core.
It's a big jump.
Yeah. I do like the heavy ones. I tried heavy Isabel, and I can't do it in the time cap. Yeah. There was a 12-minute time cap, and I think I got 18 reps on 24 attempts, so I had 6 misses. I think if I had have had like a 15-minute time cap and I could have been a little bit more like in the speed I was attacking it, I probably could have gotten it done. But I also was prideful and tried to do too many power snatches. I should have squat snatched right from the jump.
Right from.
But yeah, I would say like the girls' workouts, it's like aftermath for me. It's didn't realize my body could make me feel so horrible.
Oh yeah.
The shell shock for me of just like the things you finish a Fran, you finish a recently we did Ingrid, which is the snatches and burpees. Oh my goodness. Like I want to like out of my skin because just the amount of burn through the entire body is
you take off your shoes, you're laying on the floor in pain and you just can't get comfortable, and for the next 2 hours you're coughing and you taste what feels like copper in your throat and you're just like you're wrecked.
Fun fact, so we call that Fran Lung. It's apparently pulmonary edema. It's a non-concerning medical thing that happens, but
lungs bleeding to death is non-concerning. Sure.
Well, from a workout, typically it doesn't go to a state where you actually need medical intervention. But again, I would never necessarily encourage an athlete to go there. But if they get to that level, I'm impressed of their willingness to grit, push hard, and make a difference in their fitness.
The dumbest thing with the girls, in my opinion, is they've started introducing the barfing version of them. Have you heard about these?
No, tell me.
Oh my god, like barfing Fran every time you finish a round, so you get 21 to chug a beer.
Oh god. Yeah.
And they do some form of beer chugging to work out, and I listen or I see these and I'm like, what are we doing?
Like Fran enough to make me throw up anyway. Like I don't need to introduce an extra thing to it.
Helen after every round, chug a beer. And I think what it really comes down to is just CrossFit athletes are looking for reasons to chug beer
during the workout, for sure. Oh goodness!
I always found that to be
it's silly. But hey, if that's what you're into, then for me to tell you no, just don't get alcohol poisoning.
Yeah, we finished at O. I'm gonna have to look into
if there's any after O.
Can you get all the way to Z?
There's probably ones out there or like workouts that are named for like female soldiers.
Yeah,
we'll go do research and come back on the next episode and do that. So,
but we did get to O.
We
failed at O.
It's pretty good.
Not affiliate.
You could also do an Instagram post and ask all of our athletes to name 3.
Oh,
it might be disappointing.
Do they barely pay attention to what the warm up is on the workout? Did I say that out loud?
If you go here, you got like a week after this post, and I'm going to ask names. All names are in this episode.
Yeah.
So they listen to the episode. They should be able to get a few.
Yeah.
And we're going to do an Instagram post once this drops, and we're going to see how many people paid attention. Also, we've done like some of them in the last week, so
yeah, we have. They're fun.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Subscribe, all the things. Let us know in the comments either your favorite, your least favorite, or your worst story of a benchmark workout, because there's lots of them.
Sure.
So
cool.
Sweet.
All right.
Good stuff. I think that was pretty solid.
Not bad.
About 30 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah, the coffee was...
It doesn't get better.
I gave it the benefit of the doubt originally.